Hey, welcome back, folks. It is the Ray Lucia program. Glad to have you on board. I'm also glad to have Steve Aledort on board, our loan financial planner. And Steve, you and I have been debating back and forth for the past couple of weeks mortgages because, well, for the first time in doggone a decade, we're seeing interest rates start to go up, and it appears as if they're going to keep going up. Am I missing something here?
No, and we've seen a bump up a little bit in the long-term rates. The much larger increase that we're seeing are on adjustable rate loans. You know, loans that people had that were fixed for a period of time and they're now in their adjustable phase, or loans that are going to change fairly soon. In that the adjustables, once they go into the adjustable phase, are based on two factors: the current index that the rate and the loan is based on. In most cases, it's the one-year LIBOR. The LIBOR has gone from the low ones to almost 2.5%, which has been the increase with the short-term rate increases, over the last year or so. So you have that index, plus then the lender adds what's called a margin or the spread. This is where they make their money above the index that your loan is tied to. And generally the index being used the margin being used right now is 2.25. So if you take the one-year LIBOR at about 2.5 and then the 2.25 margin, that fully indexed rate's at 4.75. So all of those people that are currently on adjustables, and if they're on the one-year LIBOR, their adjustable rate is heading towards that 4.75 based on where that index is at today. But if the Feds increase short-term rates again, like they're supposed to, we're going to see that index go up, that fully indexed rate go up, meaning that your mortgage interest rate may go above 5%.
I saw the other day where they're talking the possibility of 3 or 4 increases.
Well, I heard 3 for this year, but what I wasn't aware of is I heard they were predicting potentially 3 for next year. So that's potentially 6 interest rate hikes, which are generally at 0.25%. And if you're looking at that's 1.25. Not generally, the mortgage rates don't generally go up that amount. If you have an equity line, when the Feds increase the short-term rate 0.25 point, prime goes up 0.25 point. You're going to see your equity line potentially go up another anywhere between 0.75 point and 1.25 point, depending upon the number of moves that they make. So the short-term rates are the adjustable rates. The equity lines are the ones that we're seeing a significant increase, both in rate and potential payment.
It's time to act. There's no question about that. Steve Aledort, loanfinancialplanner.com. All right, so let's do some loan financial planning here. As you know, I referred you to someone that I know, and that someone is kind of stuck right in the middle. What are you going to do for this individual?
All right, so here's what we have. That person is in a loan that actually we both had it at one time, and I still do, which was the green loan. It was a great mortgage back in the day. It was a 15-year interest-only loan that was tied to a lagging index, which is a little bit better than the one-year LIBOR. But that index is starting to go up. The only downfall and pitfall is it's a 15-year loan. So at the end of 15 years, if you've just either made the interest-only payment, you've made a little bit of principal reduction, you have a balloon, which means you are going to be required to refinance. Whereas on adjustables today, fixed for a period of time, then they go to a fully amortized loan, which you pay off for the remaining 20 or 25 years. In this scenario, this person has about 6 years left on their loan. So at the end of that 6 years, they're going to have to refinance. Their current rate right now is at 4%. So there's a pretty good chance within the next year or two that 4% rate may be at 4.5% or 5%. So not only payment going up, but not knowing where the market's going to be in 6 years, be in a position where they're going to have to refinance.
All right, so what is your recommendation? This person, because this person worked for me, So I tend to know a little bit about their financial situation.
All right, so here's kind of the scenario. Right now, the interest-only payment is about $2,400 a month and moving up. And within that borrower's scenario, he's got some cash coming in. He's got about 12 grand in credit card debt, paying about $450 a month. So I'm going to recommend that debt get paid off.
Okay, so he's got to pay off the credit card debt. That's
doesn't have to for the loan, but it makes sense.
No, I think that makes sense. I would, obviously the credit card debt's probably 14%, I would imagine.
Correct. So total payment between his current first and his credit card debt is about $28.75 a month. So in setting up the new loan, so there's not a huge payment shock, I have a great program. It's a 40-year loan, fixed and interest only for 10 years. So not only do we buy a 10-year fixed and interest only, so an additional 4 years up and above the current loan that he has right now, at the end of that 10-year period of time, it will go to an adjustable. That adjustable will be fully amortized, but fully amortized over 30 years. Whereas the majority of the other interest-only programs on the market are 30-year loans. So if they're fixed for 10, at the end of that 10 years, it becomes a 20-year fully amortized loan. So there's a huge payment shock. If you've just made the interest-only payment, you still have the loan, and then you have a 20-year fully amortized payment. So that's recommendation number one. Based on the current interest rates, the rate right now on that particular product for 40 years would be at 4.625. So the rate's going to be a little bit higher than what he's paying right now, but potentially lower than where the rate's going to be in the next year. And that payment, after taking the loan amount, a 0-point loan cost might be about $4 grand, going to set up an escrow account, his new interest-only payment is $27.28. So he's paying maybe $200 or $300 more than what his current interest-only payment is right now. But if he pays off his credit card debt, remember we were at a payment of almost $2,900 with the credit card debt. We've now lowered his monthly outgo by over $145 a month. Credit card debt is gone. We've locked in that payment for 10 years, and we don't have to worry at that end of that 10-year period of time having a balloon payment like he does currently right now.
Are you going to spank him and his wife and tell him not to, spend the credit card money all over again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's kind of where I see they've gotten into trouble.
Well,
how much? $12,000?
Only 12 grand. And be honest with you, I see borrowers with generally a lot more credit card debt than the 12 grand. So does it make sense to carry credit card debt? No.
But he worked in a financial firm.
I understand that. I understand that. And I'm assuming that he has targeted to pay off the debt, giving him a little kick in the butt as we're doing this financial plan is going to help assist in not only getting the debt paid off, but then having a nice talk and me doing kind of an outline going, here's what you need to do in the future.
All right, well, that sounds like a plan. Steve Aledort, it's brilliant stuff. It really is. Every week, not only do I learn something, but I get highly motivated, and you should too. LoanFinancialPlanner.com. It just hasn't been as critical in the past because everything was low. Adjustable rates were low, fixed rates were low. It was Goldilocks scenario as far as mortgages are concerned. That is changing by the day. Anybody that owned bonds in the last couple of months will tell you that their rate of return stunk.